and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, there is hope for the future, ladies and gentlemen. I know most of the time, all of us old fogies out there, and I know some of you out there in the chat and some of the comments are going to call me, oh, shut up, you young kid. I know. But there's a whole new generation out there now that's discovering things, that's looking out into the world. They're seeing things, this Gen Z that's coming up. And boys and girls, we'd heard rumors for a little while, inklings of things that were saying that maybe the millennials were going back to slightly more traditional ways than their Gen Xers. And then we heard some rumors tingling about this thing going on with Gen Z about why they might be slightly moving back away from a lot of this nonsense that's going out there in the future. And boys and girls, there is now even more evidence of it. And I don't think it should come as a shock to anybody considering what has been put out by modern Hollywood as of late, but specifically the Walt Disney Company, formerly the powerhouse of entertainment, formerly the dominant Hollywood factor in the box office, the ones who could do no wrong, that everything they touched turned to gold and turned into box office numbers, sometimes whether it deserved it or not. Well, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, there is hope out there in the world because like so many of us fans, so many of us out there that have actually been paying attention for a very long time, who have rejected Disney, Marvel, Disney, Star Wars, Disney, Pixar, and every other abomination that they have turned all of our beloved IPs into, guess what? We're not the only ones waking up. We're not the only ones smelling the stink that is coming out of the House of Mouse because, ladies and gentlemen, Gen Z may give us hope after all. We might not have to be those old men on our lawns going, get off my grass. These young whippersnappers, they don't know what's good. Well, it turns out, boys and girls, with access to unlimited information out there at the very palm of their hands, surprisingly enough, they're actually not as dumb as we thought they'd be. Because, boys and girls, I present to you the latest evidence that there is hope for the future, that the pendulum is swinging back, and that we are winning. From cosmicbook.news, Gen Z has no interest in Disney Plus, Star Wars, Marvel, according to Samba TV. Younger generation isn't tuning in, but they are watching lots of Netflix. And what does Netflix have that Disney Plus doesn't? All of the old shows, all of the good stuff from the decades past, all of the binge-worthy things, which I don't think the Walt Disney Company's made anything binge-worthy since before Disney Plus existed. Ladies and gentlemen, things are bad out there in the entertainment world. We've lost a lot. We've sacrificed much. And unfortunately, there are some franchises we're probably never going to get back. But it's not just those of us that grew up loving all of this stuff, who remember when it was good. It's also the new generation that can smell the stink. And that's a beautiful thing. And that's hope for the future, boys and girls. So we're going to check out this article from cosmicbook.news. We're going to get into all of the juicy details and see exactly how great this hope actually is. But before we do, if you do enjoy this content, if you're watching live or if you're watching on the replay or if you're watching this video as we cut it out, make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscribe or follow button if you have not already, and think about becoming a member or a follower or a subscriber, depending on what platform you're on, because all of that stuff really does help keep the lights on around here. Leave us a comment down below and tell me if this is a little bit of a white pill that you can actually swallow that gives you hope for the future. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen, by Matt Gloin. Following Bob Iger confirming a $4 billion streaming loss, it's learned that both Disney Plus and Hulu are the least watched by Gen Z crowd among the top streaming services, according to Samba TV, which includes Disney as an investor. Yes, Samba TV, who curiously sometimes doesn't report numbers the way they normally do for certain shows, or maybe it's because Disney intentionally releases certain shows at certain times of the week, so it'll fluff up their Samba TV numbers because obviously they're investors, so they know exactly how Samba TV works. But there are also really funny times where Samba TV just doesn't report on certain shows. Now, could that be the fact that the show's numbers are just so bad that they don't want to embarrass one of their investors? I don't know. But needless to say, comparing Samba numbers to Samba numbers has been a very, very reliable metric to see how abysmally bad the Walt Disney Company has been doing over the last few years. And trust me, for those of us who are upset with what Disney has done to our beloved IPs, it's been glorious, glorious news and information. Disney Plus is the home of the Marvels and Star Wars shows, but Gen Z isn't tuning in, which likely in part explains why viewership numbers are so low. You think? Hulu is home to more adult shows and movies, such as The Bear, Predator, Prey, but Gen Z isn't tuning in to watch that either, apparently. What are they watching? Netflix, of course. As you can see here from Samba TV's own analytics, their own lovely little circle graph. I love me some graphs. I love graphs. Graphs are great. Graphs are wonderful. I'll have the greatest graphs. Graphs are the best. Gen Z % of streaming time spent on each service. Netflix, 59%. A significant, almost 2/3, almost a full-blown majority. But if you were in Congress, almost a veto-proof majority is what they have. And I think vetoing is exactly what Gen Z is doing to Disney and all of their properties and all of their subsidiaries. But 59%, almost 60% of Gen Z only watch Netflix. The next one on that right behind it, 10% watch Max. Warner Brothers' company. Warner Brothers' streaming service, right? The company that's been bought and sold and absorbed and acquired more times over the last few years than most people can count, and it'll probably be acquired again very shortly in the future, right? Warner Brothers, right? After that, 9% at Prime Video, right? The thing that most of us, we would just end up having because we have all had Prime. We've had Amazon Prime for a while for the free shipping, you know? So it's like, that's okay. Color me shocked there. But Disney, 5%. Hulu, 4%, which Hulu actually has some good shows on it. Disney, I can't really say that for any of its modern stuff. But combined between the two streaming services that Disney owns. Now, mind you, this was last year's numbers. So obviously, well, this is Q1 of 2024. So this is shortly after Disney fully acquired Hulu, but before the full merger happened into one streaming service, right? And still combined only matched Prime Video. That's abysmal. That's a failure. Seriously, because once again, what's Netflix got? All the good old stuff, right? All of the shows that you want to watch, all the binge-worthy things, or all the new anime. They've got a lot of great anime on there too. Color us shocked there that Gen Z just ain't that into Disney. 5% of Gen Z's view time is watching Disney Plus. Gen Z includes those born between the years 1997 and 2012. So that is those between the ages of 12 to 27, which includes that includes two of my children. Samba TV released a chart that shows the percent of streaming time Gen Z viewers spend on each service based on viewership of streaming originals in Q1 of 2024. So this is based strictly on originals. Okay, this is even Netflix's back catalog. This is strictly based on Netflix's originals. That's even worse. The chart shows that 59% of Gen Z spent their time on Netflix, followed by 10% on Warner Brothers Max, followed by 9% on Prime Video, followed by only 5% on Disney Plus, and 4% on Hulu. Younger generation, not interested. Echo, X-Men, Star Wars, What If, Percy Jackson. None of it's charting with Gen Z. Original shows Disney Plus debuted in Q1 includes Marvel's Echo, X-Men 97, and Star Wars The Bad Batch Season 3, not to mention the ones already available. What If Season 2 was dropped late December, so that can also be included in Q1. And Percy Jackson was dropped in late December and had episodes that went into Q1 2024. So that can be included as well. The data particularly shows teenagers and those in their younger 20s aren't interested, which would be the majority of people actually watching these streaming services on their own and not with parental supervision. At least I hope so. And Disney has some work to do. With $450 billion in spending power, Gen Z consumers have become a key target for advertisers across all verticals. As this audience gets older and gains more spending power, they are showing to be particularly deliberate about where to shell out their cash, making it essential for advertisers to target them in ways that resonate, states Samba TV in their guide. Well, guess what, boys and girls? If that is just not another death nail for the Walt Disney Company, for the once great house of mouse, who literally owns probably more major franchises and IPs globally than any other major studio out there. I mean, they own Star Wars, they own Marvel, they own Pixar. Like three, and then of course, just the Disney brand as itself. Four of the largest, well-known brand names globally, most recognizable brand names globally. What's Warner Brothers got? DC? Like, what other global franchise does Harry Potter, right? They've got the rights to Lord of the Rings, but they still haven't been around as long, at least in the entertainment franchise, as those others. You know, nobody else comes even close. What, Star Trek? Come on. That hasn't been relevant in over a decade. Like, this is pathetic for the Walt Disney Company. This shows you how far down the rabbit hole they've gone. This shows you that even Gen Z is rejecting the new trendy ideology, the spirit of the age, the woke nonsense. Even Gen Z is rejecting this. And as more and more of the rest of us continue to tune out to the Walt Disney Company, this bodes bad for their future. Their built-in fans that they've had for decades are already leaving in droves. And this new generation that Bob Iger and the rest of those acolytes for at the cult in all of Hollywood thought that they were going to nab up with this new nonsense because the woke ideology was the next hot thing. Guess what? Gen Z doesn't want shit to do with that either. And boys and girls, if that is not hope for the future, I don't know what is. We're winning, boys and girls. So take that black pill out of your mouth. Take this white one and enjoy the fruits of your labor. Because all of you fans tuning out, turning off, and not passing this stuff down to the next generation because of how bad it has gotten is what has secured our future, boys and girls. Because as long as we keep winning the culture war, and as long as the next generation keeps tuning out this nonsense, we win. And boys and girls, that's a beautiful thing. So take hope and rejoice this day, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, because we're winning Gen Z, and that's the future.